So full disclosure on why I look a hot mess and why I tell people, turn your camera on, be a hot mess. You cannot outmess me tonight, I promise. Our house has been 86 degrees all week long. And I had a kid with a 102 fever, y'all. Could not believe it. Anyway, it's fixed. Hallelujah. Okay. Listen, the three of us, Ashley, Jody, and I just got back from Vegas. And one of the things that I feel very strongly about, especially for y'all's team, is helping you cast vision for your own life and for your own business. Okay. The number one difference besides consistency, the number one difference in having a hobby business where you work at kind of like this little hobby I have. Cause like I have kind of a gardening hobby and I get out there maybe once a week, maybe once a month and pull weeds. And maybe I'll remember to water. I've got some new plants dying and I like it. Like I don't have to do it, but I like it. It's there. It's pretty. If I look outside, it's nice. A hobby business is where you show up occasionally, you like it. Like maybe you'll earn $100, maybe you'll get your products covered. And the difference between having a true business that not only provides for the things that you need it to provide for, but it lasts for decades, even if you stop working, the difference is your vision. And I think probably if you're like me, you're like, that's great. What does that even mean? Like, what does vision mean? And what I want you to do is I want to ask you some questions where you really start to consider, is this worth it for me? Could this be worth it for me? Could God have this like literally in place for me? And how am I not saying yes to the opportunity? How am I holding my own self back? Because one thing I want you to know is that every person on this call is really busy. You have a lot going on in your life. I don't even know all the things you have going on in your life. I just know they're happening because they're happening for me too. And we're all at different seasons and in different situations, but it doesn't matter where you are. You have a lot on your plate, right? So I want to ask you this first question. What is one bill that if Plexus could cover it, it would bring you like the most relief ever each month? It's the bill that it's either a bill or it's like a financial requirement that hangs over your head. Maybe it's something you know is coming up. I want you to think about that. And I want you to think about how much it is. Now I really want you just to spend a minute and think about, how would my emotional state change if just doing Plexus as a business, if just doing that covered that bill or paid that fee or provided enough for us to do that thing that's weighing over my head? I told y'all that our AC had been out for 12 days. We know that a new unit is going to cost us like 20 grand. So we don't do everything to like not have to get there. But like, I know that day is coming. Yeah. I don't know if y'all have ever owned a house where you know, like the clock is ticking on your AC, but it's like, it's a burden. Not to mention my eldest daughter turned 16 in August and I know we need to get her a car. And so I'm thinking like, man, 20 grand a month, if that, wow, like it's hard to fathom right now, right? But I want you to think like that. I really want you to, that big number that you're like, man, if Plexus covered that, that would be a game changer. And I want you to think, how would it make you feel if you knew you didn't have to fret about that? Okay, so does everyone have their bill or that payment or whatever it is? You have that financial burden in your head? Okay, so just tell me in the chat, how would you feel if Plexus covered the cost of that burden, that financial burden, every month? What are some of the feelings that would come up for you? Jesse, yeah. Very relieved. Freedom and having a weight lifted. Yeah, and if you're married, how would you feeling relieved or like a weight was lifted off, how would that affect your marriage? Like what if you had that stress, that financial stress lifted from you? How would it affect your marriage or your top relationships? Your husband could retire from his business. Like, yeah, that probably feels like such a dream right now. But I really want you to consider this because this is what vision looks like. You don't just write it down on a dream board and go, I wish that happens. You go, I need this. If this is my goal, my marriage would be healthier. I'd be a better parent. I'd be a better wife. The relief would flood into so many other, well, like what would you be able to do with just even that, having that much more emotional margin? Okay, here's another question. If Plexus could provide financially, what is one thing that would bring you the most joy or fun in your life? What's something that you can't even, it's something that sounds so fun or joyful to you, you can't even consider it right now because of your financial situation. But if Plexus provided, you would do it in a heartbeat. Mission trips, that's awesome. What else? A family cruise. Totally. Where would you go, Jesse? That's so interesting. While some of y'all are thinking, I want to tell you that the first meeting that I went to like this, I think I was a goal. Ooh, Jesse, girl, we gonna talk later. Uh, Jesse says an Alaskan cruise, and she probably knows why I'm smiling. The first meeting that I ever went to like this, I went to an in-person meeting, and the people that like whose team I'm on were speaking. And one of them, her name's Roz, and I'd never met her before, so I was kind of like, who's this? I still wasn't sure I wanted to do this. And she said I was a full-time working mom and my kids were little and I owned my own business. So I worked all the time. Like, does that make sense? Like even when our doors were closed, I was still dealing with stuff. And one thing I couldn't do was take vacation in the summer because if I took a vacation, not only was it lost income, but it would be, I'd have to pay for the vacation on top of that. And then when I got back, I'd have to like work double. So if you've ever had a job like that, an hourly job, I had a lot of freedom. I make great money. I made great money when I worked my butt off. And so my kids were little, they would stay with the nanny, you know, because they couldn't go to preschool or whatever during the day. And I just felt so much mom guilt. And this gal, Roz, who's since become a really good friend, she was sharing, she was like, I've always been like such a worker. I've always had 1 to 2 jobs. I've always been doing, you know, bringing in multiple streams of income, but it's always been the kind of work where I can't take off. And so my kids never got to do like summer vacations. So I was always signing them up for day camps or to be with a babysitter or that kind of stuff. And she said, you know, when I've started Plexus, it's been 6 months, and this summer I'm going to retire from my job and I'm going to take my kids on a vacation. And she got choked up, and I was like sitting in the, you know, group of people listening, and I was like, it caught me out of nowhere. I had like one of those big sobs come out because she just named this burden that was on me to just be able to take my kids on a vacation and to be with them and to not worry about work and to not be answering phone calls and emails and all that. So I want you to consider, what is that thing that you really want to do? And it would really make you joyful. Like, have you got it written down? Because I want you to have a good image of it. I don't want you to second guess it and be like, well, that's too big or that's too small. I just want you to really think about it and write it down. Okay, here's another question. What is an area of your life's purpose? Like, you know that this is one of the purposes God has for your life that you haven't seen fulfilled yet by your current situation, but like, you know, it's out there. Is it like finding real community or real friendships? Is it giving? Hear me out, because I know for some of y'all, this is going to sound crazy. Is it public speaking? Is it blessing other people? Is it kind of like one of my dreams was? Is it more time with your family? Or is it something else? There's something else. You're like, I know I'm supposed to do this, but my current situation won't let me do it. What is that? What's something you know, like it's part of your life's purpose? And seriously, don't, if it's something, oh, that's too small or lame. If you thought of it, it's on your heart and it needs attention. The biggest thing I've found in this network marketing company, I can't speak for others. I've never been involved with another. This is the only network marketing company I've ever known. And I didn't understand this before, is how it has called me to be a better person. Honestly, it's made me have to become a better leader to people. It's made me have to become a better mother, literally. It's made me become a better wife, a better friend. It's allowed me to step into like purposes that I didn't even know I wanted. I had no idea. I really thought my old job was my, final calling and final purpose. And so I'm curious if you have that too, if there's something that you go, yeah, I want to do that. Okay, I'm reading y'all's blessing others and through Celebrate Recovery. Hey, I did Celebrate Recovery. I was Celebrate Recovery leader for 7 years. Moms that want to stay home, natural ways to help others have better lives. That's awesome. Sarah says, being able to help others with their health, physically and overall, especially seniors. See, I love that. Like, what is a dream that could be fulfilled in as far as your purpose and your calling that right now, financially, you can't see it happening, but it's in your heart? Okay. I want to start there. That's just the beginning. I will tell you that when I see a lot of people, and I've been doing this 10 years, I talk to lots of people, and in the beginning, they're excited. They're like, yes, I want to do this. And I just want to tell you, well, of course you do. Of course you want to do this. Like, and listen, if I do this, let me be very clear. When I started this, I would have punched you if you would have told me a decade ago, Becky, you're actually going to get into network marketing and it's going to be your full-time job and you're going to do it for the next decade. I would have been like, you shut up, because I didn't want to do that. I thought it was like reaching out to people and being, please buy from me. I need to make money. Mom, will you please buy these products? Like, no, that's not what this is at all. Okay. So if you've got that idea, you need to throw it away. But of course, if people want to do this, people love the idea of like a get rich scheme or let's just have success. But like, truly, this is hard. It's been hard. Everything is hard. Everything whatever you're doing right now, there's something in your life that it's hard and you've chosen it and you're sticking with it. It might be your marriage. It might be somebody that you're parenting, or it might just be a boss at work or whatever, but you have a hard and you've chosen it. So this business has trained me to understand that it's people who can do hard things, they have success. But I'm going to tell you, it's also people who are willing to get uncomfortable here because they have vision way out here. And their vision out here is what keeps them going. So they can handle when there's a Thanksgiving dinner where their sister-in-law is like gossiping about them and saying, oh, she's just trying to get everyone to do that pink drink. What they can handle that. They can handle that discomfort because they go, that's not going to get in the way of my vision. That's way out here ahead of me. I'm going for this. I'm not getting stuck here, because you will get uncomfortable. So my question to you would be, what is really, and some, you guys are in different places. Ashley and I have been sharing Plexus for a long time. Some of you guys are like, I haven't even bought Plexus yet. Like, I'm totally new to it. So I want to tell you, the products are amazing. You're going to fall in love with the products. I don't even hardly talk on these kind of calls about the products anymore, because I'm like, oh, just wait. 1 month in, you're going to be like, I'm staying on this for as long as I can. But the question for you is really, how uncomfortable are you willing to get to have some of these questions come true for you? And are you willing, in this busy season where you have a lot on your plate, to like go after it, get trained, figure out how you need to get better. Because by the way, everybody comes into this on an even playing field. Nobody on this call went to college for network marketing or has a master's in network marketing. Like it's not offered, you know? Maybe somewhere you took like a social marketing class. And if so, I'm really jealous of you because everything I've learned, I've had to learn by doing it really badly at first. But it's an even playing field. But are you willing to get trained and to learn and to grow and to do it bad first before you get good at it? Because that's how everybody's job works. And then to begin to see the success. But not only for you, because listen, how great, I can't even tell you guys. Let me ask Ashley and Jody. Y'all, is it inspiring for you to see people's comments and to be like, I can help them do that? Yeah, that's really where the payoff begins. And so I want you to think right now, who is someone that's been on your heart or might be on your heart tonight where you go, man, if they did this with me, not only would they be successful, like not only do I really believe in them, but it would make this journey so much better if we did it together. Can you think of someone, and maybe it's someone who's told you no in the past. I just want you to think about them. That would get you excited. And then I would tell you, just pray. Pray for it. I've had people who, I mean, Jody herself is a great story of someone who was not interested until it was time. Do you want to say, actually, Jody, can I just already gave you a warning that I was going to potentially make you pipe in. Tell us what it was that took you from, I don't think I want to sell, all the way to not only do I want to do this, but I see things happen. I can see like the vision is getting set for me now.
So once of course, the products, like you said, they sell themselves. Can y'all hear me? Yeah. And most of y'all even know my story. I was just in a rough place and the products dug me out of it. And I had told Ashley and Becky for several months, even once I started a new regimen full force, that I leave me alone. I just want to feel better. That's all I was concerned about. And, but I promised them, honestly, not thinking anything about it. I didn't think it would come to fruition, that I would feel that much better. But once I finally realized I felt so much better, and the only thing about the changes in me were Plexus. And not only just the products, but I slowly was paying attention to the table and to Becky and to Ashley, and they were slowly helping me with my mindset. Even though I wasn't selling yet and had definitely not committed, I could see a difference in them as a community teaching me different ways to cope with the things I was dealing with. And I was seeing them be leaders. And honestly, at the time, I didn't know that was anything I wanted to do. But looking back, it was something I really admired. And once I finally felt better, I was like, you know what? I'm crazy not to share. If I can help one person to feel better like I did, if I can make a difference, I have to share. And then at that point, once I finally did, and it was freeing, honestly, being able to share with those things with people. But of course, it took a little while, and it took learning a lot, and it took a lot of guidance from Becky and Ashley and Andrea, and my digging in and learning. It took a little while, and I started seeing results from others. It may not have necessarily been a quick health result, but it may have been similar to my situation, like a mindset, or like, okay, I'm going to feel better. Like just seeing that excitement in people again. And then several months later, of course, Jessie signed up, and she's had such a crazy health testimony, which was not just health, but livelihood in general. Abigail, I think Abigail's on here. I mean, she felt so much better in her situation. But honestly, when I started sharing, I developed the relationships too. It wasn't just, okay, you're constipated, take this pill and you're better. But it was those relationships and the trust that they had in me, that I really liked. Have I answered your question, or have I had just gone way
Oh, you
out
have,
of
but I want to ask you, one more thing. When you went to convention, what happened when you you saw it all? You saw people sharing and you felt really touched by it. What was going on for you?
A lot of those girls I follow, a lot of people like you, and it's probably like most of these people on this call tonight follow Becky. Like I said today, y'all are like celebrities, like Plexus celebrities. They don't know you in person, but they follow you and, are role models for us that want to share. But there were a few other girls that I follow too that are close to my age and, come from similar backgrounds, and they were in the same boat. They wanted to feel better, and they did feel better, so they had to share, and they have skyrocketed, and they have built teams, and which 9 months ago, I didn't know what a team was. I didn't know that I wanted a team, but seeing these ladies and talk about the community and how they're helping and how it's just reaching and reaching and reaching, it's been such an inspiration to me. And I think the money aspect of it sounds great, and they're doing really well because they've gotten so high, but it's just the inspiration that these people are having on others and the impact of that. And just seeing story after story after story, it's so emotional. And Ashley and I, like, every time I think about these ladies, like, here I am again. Every time I think about these ladies getting up on stage at certain ranks, I mean, I just am flooded with this emotion that I cannot explain, except that it just is so dear to my heart. And it's just a goal now, but not a goal because I want to make X amount of money, but just that, not helping one person, but so many that it would reach. That's been what has set me on fire and wants me to help this person so they can help this person. And so that's kind of where I am right now.
Yeah, I remember meeting you and talking to you on the cruise and realizing, oh, she knows she has a purpose. Like that what was different about you. Okay, I have one more question for y'all. What is I'm gonna put on my old therapist hat. What is one lie that you currently believe about yourself that would hold you back from being successful? Because I really want you to hear me. I have seen every personality type, every background type that you can imagine find success in this company. There is no prototype. People from utter poverty, people who are super wealthy, and everyone in between. People who don't even have a GED, people who have a PhD, and everyone in between. So there's no prototype, but what there is there's belief in the products, which I would guess the majority of you have if you've tried the products. There's belief in the industry, which you probably don't have yet, and that's okay because we can help you do that. The biggest hurdle I see people quitting over is a lack of belief in themselves. So I want you to get really clear on what is the big lie about yourself that would hold you back. And then if you're brave enough, I want you to tell me, I want you to unmic yourself and tell me. I'm not going to do this to all of you. So if you just have it like a mild panic attack, I'm not going to force you to share. I'm just curious if you're brave enough to put it out there. What's the big lie?
I have a lot of fear around.
Wait, Jesse, do it one more time because you're showing it, but I can't see it. Okay, why am I not feeling enough? Okay. All right. Sorry, Jody. Let me just jump on this really quick. Does anyone else relate with, I'm not enough? I know Ashley and Jody do because we just talked about this last weekend. And I went to go see Inside Out 2 with my kids on Monday and totally cried in the theater, and they didn't because the I'm not enough thing was like, bang, it hit me right in the chest. And I'm 48. Like, I'm 48 and a therapist. You'd think I'd be done with this. Okay, if I'm not enough is yours, then just say so in the comments. But if you have another one, if you're because we all have different lies. If you have another one and you're willing to tell us, then either put it in the chat or you can unmute yourself and tell me.
If nobody else wants to speak, I will. So Becky and Jody, of course, know this, but I think for the longest time, like I had 100% belief. Actually, I had 200% belief in the products and the business, and the company, everything, but I did not have the belief in myself. And I've really had to dig deep as far as working on myself and books and podcasts and that sort of thing. And I'm finally to the point to where I feel like, you know, I can do this and I am believing in myself. But I think everybody probably feels, you know, that way at some point or another. But I just always kind of felt like, I mean, I knew what to do and I knew the products worked, but it was just me, you know, number one, I didn't have the belief in myself, but I also didn't think that I deserved it or that I was, I don't know. Becky knows, Jody knows, like I've dealt, you know, through my life with a lot of shame and that sort of thing. So it's always been like, you know, they're good enough for it, but I'm not. And I think that has, you know, probably held me back from the growth and stuff that I needed. But like I was telling them at convention, if I stayed exactly where I am today and never made any more money, I am 10,000% okay with that because of the growth that I've seen in myself, especially over the last year and a half. But it's worth it, like all the way around. Like I said, even if I never made another dime, it's still worth it for me for the personal growth that I have seen in myself.
Yeah. What were you going to say earlier, Jody? I cut you off.
I was just gonna bring light to the fact, which probably several of these girls on here are in the same boat. I guess it is that I'm not enough factor, but being in a small town's tough. I mean, we've all talked about that before. I think somebody mentioned not having enough like people in Elberton to go around, but you know, we want to get outside of Elberton, of course, but my thing is like when it comes time to share the business with people, you know, I am doing well. I'm covering my products plus some. So I'm making a paycheck. I'm not making a big enough paycheck to quit my job yet. I'm gonna say yet. So that's where sometimes that fear creeps into me, you know, well, those people are gonna say, well, it's not doing that good enough, you know, blah, blah, blah. Ashley and I've talked about that before, but when we roll up in our Lexus real soon that gets paid by Plexus, they gonna know. So that's
signs.
What?
You won't tell anyone, but there'll be signs.
There'll be signs. But that's been, even though, and I talked to Ashley about it last weekend, even though the materialistic thing is not super high on my list, that one is because, like you said, there's gonna be signs. There's proof that it's doing. Like I feel like I need to prove myself to somebody, even though that's not the case. Just like Jessie, I've said it multiple times. If she's the only one that I've helped, it's been worth it. Just like Ashley, if I stay where I'm at, it's been worth it. But my fear does go back to that I'm not enough. I haven't done enough yet to pull people in to the business side of things.
The big thing, the thing that I'd like to challenge you guys with is, are you willing to get uncomfortable? And then are you willing to lean into a community like this? Like you guys have been really vulnerable on this call, which is, I mean, I love that. That's when I'm like, Lord, this is my purpose. I love talking with people about like the lies that they're believing. And how crazy, but how like God is it to use a network marketing company to show me that he doesn't want me believing lies and that he wants me to help other people defeat lies in their mind. Because it's so easy for me to sit here and be like, Jesse, not only are you enough, but you're actually absolutely right where you're supposed to be. Or to talk to any of you guys. I mean, I've known Ashley since I was 2 or 3. And so we know a lot of each other's like broken heart stories and childhood traumas and all that good stuff. And so, of course, like I want the people that I've known in my life and been my lifelong friends to like defeat major false beliefs. Yes. And isn't it like him to use something unlikely like a network marketing company to do that? Okay. Sarah Baker has been with the company for, I don't know how many years, Sarah. It's been a while. And I'll tell you, because I can tell you're at a ball game. So don't fret.
Almost 9 years. It'll be 9 years, 4th of July.
And she just went gold this spring. And what I saw bring about that change was it's like she was just like, well, I'm ready. I'm going to share consistently. I'm going to share frequently. I'm going to share daily. It's not like something big changed in her life other than her decision. I'm going to do this. And I would just tell y'all, if you want to do it, then decide, and then do not quit on yourself. It's been 10 years. I've been on lots of calls with people. They fade in and they fade out. And sometimes they fade out because they're like, oh, I feel bad. I feel like I let that person down. You're not letting me down. But don't quit on yourself. Don't quit on your dream. Don't quit on your own vision. It will be hard and you will need help. Truthfully, you will need a lot of help. I literally called my friend and my sponsor about 2 hours ago and I was like, what are some good vision questions? Because she's so good at that. Like that's just one of her giftedness is asking questions. And I mean, I'm still asking for help. You are going to need help. You're going to need encouragement. You're going to need training. There is stuff that you don't know how to do. A lot of it is probably social media stuff. And I'm going to tell you right now, you have to use social media. You can only go so far in your own friend circle until people start to avoid you at the ballpark, and you don't want that. You're going to have to get better at social. You know what the great news is currently? Social media is a free place to advertise. And there will come a day where we will say, we were a part of the Wild West back when you didn't have to pay Instagram to share your products, because everybody is hawking stuff on Instagram and Facebook, okay? So get over yourself enough to where you can defeat whatever false belief is going on. Get really clear on your next goal. If you are brand new, like brand new, you've got to find 3 people who need the products to purchase combos from your website. You'll earn your first bonus. It'll be great. If you've already done that, then you got to get back to business and you got to figure out, okay, where am I? Like, I've got to log into my virtual office. I got to ask my friend and my sponsor, what do I need to do? How am I doing? And you got to get trained. It's not magic. It will happen when you pay attention to it and pray about it and focus on it every day. And it might be really slow, but it will be worth it. Especially when your mama and them are all feeling so good and you help. Like, I got on Plexus, and what I didn't know is that 5 months after I started, my mom was my second person to join me. And 5 months after I started, she had a breast cancer diagnosis. And thank God, because it was hard and she had to, have surgery and all that, but she sailed through doing really amazing in a way that she wouldn't have if she had not been on our gut health products for 5 months. And then 10 years later, she's still on the products and still doing great, still in remission. So you should do this because there's stuff coming up down around your bend in your future that will need you to be feeling better, be helping people in your life feel better, and needing you to create more margin in your financial futures. Okay, I'm going to cut the sermon because I've preached it y'all long enough. What questions do you have? This is a small group, so if you've got a question, like, go for it.
Can I just share something like,
Please.
so most of y'all don't know, but I mean, you probably do know, but you know, I've been doing it for right over 10 years. And of course, I went through a season of like not sharing, whatever, come back in January of last year. And December of 2022, I was not holding the rank of gold. So I know several of y'all know what that means, but like I had 66 points in my back office. So from January, when I reached out to Becky and said, "Hey, I want to get back in," not that I'd ever left, and I literally have never not made enough money to cover my personal products in 10 years. So even when I was not working the business, I have always made at least enough money to cover my personal products. But anyway, I went from 66 points to like 640 something in May. So it is doable to, you know, I don't want them to feel like they can't, you know what I mean? Yes, it may be slow like me, and you may be at the same rank for many years, and it's okay. Like, I'm 100% okay with where, you know, my story, because of everything else that's worked out like it has. But, you know, it also depends on what you do.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Becky? I mean,
It does. I'm comfortable with uncomfortable silences. So if you've got a question and you're just like too embarrassed, you should just go ahead and ask it.
Becky, I'm gonna put you on the spot for a second.
Yeah.
I've got some girls on here that's gone silver. And just like the rest of us, those folks have dropped off. And so now, yeah, they've seen a little bit of stuff, but have not held on to people. I think all of us probably on this call. So they're kind of starting over. One of the ladies I spoke to today, I said something to her about stepping up and growing your leadership role kind of thing. And she said, "Well, I don't have anybody to lead." So I want you to speak to that. Like, talk to these girls that, you know, they kind of were so new, they didn't know what they were doing. They were just following our lead and adding and sharing. And then now that they've got the taste for things, they don't have those people there.
Well, temporarily.
Yeah.
I would say, I think every single one of you, if you committed to actually like taking it seriously, talking about the products, sharing people's stories, having conversations with people from the past. Hey, you were interested at one point, what changed? But if you would push yourself to kind of go, I'm going to consider this not a hobby, I'm going to consider this a real opportunity, a true business. And then get yourself trained. Like, of course, your first 3 people didn't stick around. You were brand new. And there's, you know, sometimes if your friend is like, I'm trying something new, you're like, okay, I'll do it. I'll go eat at this brand new restaurant with you or whatever. It's sort of that novelty. People are like, I don't know what this is. I'll try it. And then you're telling yourself, oh, I don't have people anymore. I bet you do. I really bet you do. I just bet people are kind of waiting to see, are you just another person who's selling something for 5 minutes on social media? Like, if you're really serious, tell other people's testimonies, tell your story, and do it over and over and over again. I remember telling when Jody, the first time Jody ever shared like her big, scary, you know, I'm going to share my anxiety testimony. And it was so long and it was so good. And she had so many comments. And then you kind of think, well, I've shared it. I guess I'm done with that story. No, you're going to tell it again in different ways every day. I talk about gut health nonstop, but I do it in a lot of different ways. And I've learned to shorten it because no one's reading super long posts anymore. You know, people are watching silly reels, or they're just watching you like pour your drink and shake it up and then say like, hey, did you know that this drink, as crazy as it is, it has the same effect on your GLP-1 hormone like the shots do. It's just far less invasive. Boom, I'm done. I move on. So you need to get trained. Quit thinking about this like, who do I know? Slow down. Just commit to doing it like a business and don't worry about who's paying attention. I think so often we post and we go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just posted. Nobody in your audience is going, oh, she posted. I'm not going to like this. They're not even paying that much of attention. Post for 24 days. And I don't mean just Plexus, like that's obnoxious, but share your life, get serious, put yourself out there, and then sprinkle Plexus in and let people see that you're consistent and then see who's interested. Because I promise, I've been doing this for 10 years. I should not have any kind of a warm market. And I just had someone today be like, I want to try that Restore drink that you're posting about. Because I'm talking about it daily. So that's the thing. That's part of what I mean when I'm like, give yourself a chance to get trained. You're not going to be good at first, and be willing to be bad at it before you get better. So it specifically, if you think you don't have people, it's honestly because you might have asked the people that you thought were interested. I bet there's people that you don't know are interested because you're not talking about it. Was that helpful, Jody? Anything else, y'all? Jesse, I think I see you.
Sorry, I have to figure out how to unmute.
Okay.
All right, way out my comfort zone. I know a lot with Plexus that I focus on myself and still healing my gut. And there's a lot of people that look at me with how quick Plexus did help me. And I know they're waiting for Plexus to fail me and me go back to my old ways. And like now, I'm not sure if it's stomach virus or a flare up, but I am terrified because I know Craig's told people that I hadn't been feeling good. And then they're gonna be like, okay, Plexus ain't working. As I went from 12 medicines to no medicines. And I'm terrified to call the doctor because I'm scared he's going to try to put me back on a medicine, and I refuse to. So how do you address that with people?
I mean, Jesse, I have another person on my team who has like a life, like you have a life transforming story. Like even my dad was like, who's that girl? You went through a major, but you still have a major autoimmune diagnosis. So, okay. So like, just like a plant-based supplement is never meant to work the exact same way a prescription must. So one of my first thoughts is like, you could have a virus, you could have something going on. And I wouldn't want you to not get that diagnosed. Okay. At the same time, the hardest thing for someone who's going through like fluctuations in their illness, and Ashley and Jody, I'm thinking about Christy Salcido, who she's been through like literally was in a wheelchair and now runs. And like, if you saw her before and after, it's mind blowing. But when she doesn't feel good, it affects how she posts because it's this pressure. Like I have to constantly be this walking health testimonial. You don't. And I promise you are in your head about what people think. You are not a mind reader. You actually do. And I don't know why. This is an Elberton epidemic. And I mean, I grew up there, so I know. Somehow it raises us to constantly be fearful that people are thinking the worst. And I just want to be like, oh, who cares? If people are thinking the worst of me, I hope I don't find out. But I'm certainly not going to imagine it because I don't need all that extra worry. And I already struggle with people pleasing. So what other people think of me is none of my business. And on times when you're not feeling good, share somebody else's story. I mean, I'll give you my story. You can share Ashley's, Jody's, anyone else's, okay?
Right.
Don't get so obsessed and think that you're the only testimony for Plexus. And honestly, what I don't want people to think is I don't want the average person to think I have to be as sick as Jessie Fleming was in order for these products to work. I mean, somewhere there's a little girl in college who just needs to poop. And she really needs these products because her hormones and skin are probably all messed up because she's not pooping regularly. I don't want her to think, oh gosh, I've got to have a major autoimmune diagnosis to use these products. So does that make sense? Like get out of your head, and you don't feel good. So that's part of the problem, right? When I don't feel good, it's just hard to work. but just for a while, share somebody else's story. And
Do you
honestly,
share the part where you don't feel good and okay, this could be a flare up and
yeah,
hey,
I
I'm
would.
taking the product
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and
Listen,
because I know Hydro when I went into KA and I could not get enough to drink and I started pounding Hydrate and the difference it made in my body within just a few hours was unreal.
you need to continue to be
So
real.
do you post that too?
Yeah. Yeah. Don't let fear of what people will think keep you from living out loud. In fact, like that's probably more just your mindset than it is other people. So be
Mhm.
real, like, hey, I need some prayer, having a flare up. I'm not out here trying to make people think that a plant-based supplement cures cancer. However, like I said, it sure did give my mom a much better fighting chance against cancer, healing her gut.
Right.
So don't get scared about that. I mean, I want you to feel your best, and it's a journey. Autoimmune is a lifelong journey, but
Mhm.
you're in a way better place now than you were.
Oh yes, definitely.
Anybody else?
I also wanted to say this, there's a lot of people that come to Plexus just for the business. So you don't have to be like the healthiest or, I mean, that's what I was telling Jody, like you get to convention and you see people that are like overweight, you see people that are, like Becky said, you'll see people standing outside smoking cigarettes. I mean, like there are people of every shape, size, health, everything there, so you don't have to like look a certain way, be a certain weight or whatever to be successful at this business. Like, sure, you want to be, as healthy as you can if that's what your goal is, but if that's not your goal, then there are people that come in strictly just for the business. So don't feel like just because you're having a flare up or something that you can't be honest or whatever and share, because who don't need to make money?
Yep. Yep, exactly. So I'll close this down because in the beginning, we were going to make this a 20-minute call. But I'll close this down, but I want to say this. Everybody here, welcome to the club. It's my club too. I'm the president. We all have to work on our mindset, right? But if you can focus on these questions about what do I really want? What would really change my life? If you can bring that into the forefront, and if you can actually deal with the lie that you're believing, the false belief about yourself, I'm not good enough. I'm not just enough in general. Ashley's like, I don't really deserve it. Like all of that. That's a God-sized assignment. You've got to deal with it. It's impacting all areas of your life, not just, having a side business. But then also really, I want to encourage you guys, lean in. Like, I promise, Ashley and Jody and me, we want, like, if you text us, we want to help you. We want to do what, like, I get excited when people ask me questions. I get excited to be on these calls. I believe in you, but I can't believe in you more than you believe in you. So maybe spend some time tonight before bed, think about like, what do I need to commit to on a daily basis? I'd say if you're not sharing more on social on a daily basis, that's going to hinder you. And then you're going to actually think, I guess I'm not good enough. And that's going to make me mad because I'm like, no, that was never the problem. The problem was consistency and training. Like those are two things, everything's figure outable. We can figure those things out. So don't let that lie keep you from investing in yourself. Okay. I'm going to end the call. Let me just pray for us really quick before we hop off. Okay. That's why I do this. Lord, I thank you for each of these ladies and I lift them up. I want to specifically lift up Jessie and I pray for her body. You know exactly what's going on. I pray that you give her peace of mind and give her the peace of mind to take good care of her body. Don't let her be fearful to go see the doctor. Don't let her worry about what other people will think. Just bring healing where it needs to happen. For the rest of us, Lord, not only do I pray for just physical health, but I pray for emotional health. I pray that you'd heal us from lies about ourselves and false beliefs. And I pray that you would really allow us to start to dream with you, and that we would be able to trust you, that if you've called us to it, that you're going to make a way. Thank you. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, y'all. Thanks for hopping on. I'll trim this recording and give it to Ashley, and y'all can put it in the team page. Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.